everyone so much for coming to the field day again this year. It's really fantastic having you all here and being able to see what's coming through and engaging with the fantastic work that Berries Australia are doing. I'm going to pass over briefly to Adrian and then I'll keep going.
Yeah, so I'd just like to reiterate what Jody said. Thank you very much for coming. It's great to see the interest, not just in the growers but in the propagators as well for attending. That's a great result. I'd like to firstly thank Jody and the department for allowing this to happen and giving us the opportunity to come out here and have a look at what's coming through the pipelines. I think it's a great opportunity for growers and propagators to be involved with. I'd also like to thank Agbitech for sponsoring the heaviest. Fergus is down the front here, if anybody wants to say, and there's the trophy at the back. But of course, it's all about the bragging rights rather than the $250 FPOS card, isn't it, Fergus? It's all about the bragging. Look, I think we'll all acknowledge it's been another tough season. With the weather conditions have certainly played a big part in what's happened this season. Not just for the fruit growers, but for the propagators. It's been a warm start in most of the propagating areas. We believe that may have had some effect on what's happening here because it was accentuated with a warm, wet start to the season. Most people will acknowledge the production has been down so far this year. If you got plants a little bit early, you've got off to a good start, but everything seems to have plateaued. Unfortunately, it's looking like everybody's fruit is going to come on at the same time in August, and it's something we've got to be aware of and prepare ourselves for. But that's farming, isn't it? It's sort of dictated by the weather conditions. So without too much more, I'd like to introduce Jody, Chief Breeder for the ASBP program. And thank you very much.
So just to start off, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land which we meet today, the Gubbi Gubbi people, and pay respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Yes. So my name's Jody Neal. I lead our Australian strawberry breeding program, and Katie O'Connor, who is the other breeder on our team, unfortunately couldn't be here today, but we've got a whole bunch of our team members at the back as well. If you want to talk to any of us, we're happy to answer any questions. To give you a quick overview of our program, our main objectives are to develop new varieties that have superior consumer traits. We want to increase consumer satisfaction so that consumers have a good experience and go back the next week and buy more fruit, rather than have a bad experience and wait 2 months before they go back. Our varieties have to have increased profitability. We want you to actually make money at the end of the day. But then obviously as part of that, we need the varieties to have a reduced cost of production. So have built into them a bunch of traits that make it cheaper to produce a punnet of fruit. These varieties, as a breeding program, we're always looking to the future. So obviously there's different production systems coming in, different plugs versus bare-rooted runners. There's different market requirements, there's different environments and environmental constraints as we've seen this year. So we're always looking to see what the future is for the industry and starting to breed for those conditions early so that once we get there, you have varieties that match your needs. And then lastly, we are a national program. So we breed for subtropical, which is southeast Queensland and Bundaberg, temperate, which is all the southern states, and also Mediterranean, which is around Perth. So we have different programs producing varieties that are locally adapted to those environments. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a background very quickly. This is all very, very fast stuff, but about our breeding strategy and our field layout. I was talking before about those 3 different things that we're breeding for. Each year we collect data on a whole bunch of different traits that feed into each of those 3 areas. So we collect a whole bunch of information on traits that help enhance consumer satisfaction. Obviously flavour is a big one, sugar levels, appearance, shelf life. Also increased productivity, which is profitability. And productivity, which is yield, is obviously the big one. But then also we want to have things that don't reduce yield. So we want to have good disease resistance, good rain damage resistance, good sun damage resistance if you're producing over summer in those temperate areas. And then lastly, we have a whole bunch of traits that reduce the cost of production. And for us, this is actually really one of the big ones because labour costs are continuing to increase. A whole bunch of areas, you know, things are becoming more expensive. And so our economic modelling has said that average fruit weight is actually one of the major drivers of reducing cost of production. It takes the same amount of time to pick a big berry as a small berry, but it takes way fewer picks to fill a punnet if they're big. So this is where we've been, you know, over many years now focusing on having consistently large-sized fruit, consistently shaped fruit so they can all be picked and packed and very robust. We want good, you know, tough fruit so that it can all be done a lot faster. So that's what, hopefully you'll see some of that in the field today. So our very high level breeding strategy is at year 1, we start with doing cross-pollinations. So Katie and I will pick plants that have the traits we're interested in. This one might have high yield and great flavour. This one might have quite good yield, but firmer fruit, for example. And we will cross those so we can produce a whole bunch of offspring. So every seed gets a different combination of its parents' genes. And then we germinate those seed to produce our stage 1 seedling trials. So today you'll see out there our stage 1 trials this year. Every plant there is genetically different. It all came from a different seed that was germinated. And so we've got around 7,000 plants out there. We produce morphus for subtropical. We've got trial at Bundy as well, with a whole bunch of those. So in the year 2, we will, like you can see out there, we will plant out our seedling trials, our stage 1 trials, and we'll produce around 10,000 total for subtropical areas, produce around 13 to 14,000 for temperate regions. And at the end of that year, we will pick the best 1% that will go on to be tested for the next year as stage 2. That 1%, we then clonally propagate them. So we multiply them up using runners, and that's where we'll be out in the field today, looking at, we've got plots of 6 plants, where those 6 plants are identical. And we've got a whole bunch of material out there. And we've got the material replicated in different places. But this is where we collect our data. So those traits you saw before, we're harvesting every week, we're collecting counts, weights, measuring firmness, measuring Brix levels, scoring it for flavour, and a whole bunch of other things. The best of our stage 2s then go into our stage 3s the next year. And so this is the ones we're actually going to be looking at. So we've got data out there for our stage 3 pluses. So they're the ones where we've taken it through our seedling trials, we've put it into our stage 2, we've actually collected 1 year of proper data. What you're going to be looking at are the ones, the best of those. So these are the ones that are progressing towards eventually on-farm trialling and commercialisation. There are a bunch of them that are on-farm trials this year, and Taste and See have brought in some fruit from our on-farm trials on their farm, as well as some APG varieties. So we can go have a look at those later. They're looking beautiful. But basically, this takes approximately 7 years to go through the process, and we have it on-farm trials for at least 3 years usually before we make a decision if something's worth commercialising. So we'll go from, for subtropical, for example, from 10,000 plants at the beginning. Most years we won't release a single one of those. So we collect a lot of data, do a lot of work, but it's worth it when you get the good varieties out there. So what you're going to see in the field today is this. So this is basically just a rough schematic of our field trial. Our stage 1 seedling trial is in blue, so that's where every plant is different. We're going to be in the green and orange part today. So this is our early stage and advanced stage trials. The green, we've got obviously a lot of early stage stuff. We don't have our data sheets out for that, but you're welcome to have a look at it and tell us what you like. For the orange ones, we have information sheets out there so you can have a look, give us feedback, because these are the ones that are closer to commercial release. We'd love to get your feedback on what you're liking and disliking in that area. And then this is an aerial shot taken last week of our actual block. So you can see here with these fewer white lines where the stage 1 seedlings are, and you can see the 6 plant plots in the middle there. So that's where we'll be today. Fantastic. So This was from a previous year's field trial. This is what you'll have out there, just so you know what to expect. We will have these signs placed at the back of plots with information about the variety's performance. We will also have fruit in containers for you to taste, feel, whatever you like. We just ask if you please don't pick fruit off the plants because we do collect data on these. So the fruit in the containers we've already counted and weighed this week. We're finished with it, but the fruit that's coming on, yes, please leave that on there so we can do that next week. We do only harvest weekly. So what you've seen out there today in the containers was harvested yesterday. Anything on the plants will be harvested next Tuesday. So what you'll get, we often pick backwards, so you'll get a mix of maturities in there. You'll get some that are a bit underripe, a bit that are some overripe. So just, that's par for the course. Please take that in consideration when you are looking at the fruit. We will have some pin tags, some red tags for you if you'd like to take a bundle and put them in plots that you like. That's really helpful for us. We will also have some data sheets out there where if you want to take some notes. And those data sheets have our yield and average fruit size for the season to date on them. So that's not representative of all seasons, it's just this season, but that information is there. Obviously it has been a rough season. Yields across the board have been down for you guys. The same has been true for us. So even though we have hundreds of different accessions in here, the theme has been the same. So it's not genetics, it is the environment, the weather has just caused everything to be a really slow start to the season. So we don't have the fruit numbers that we normally have at this time of year. And we've also had a fair bit of death for some reason in our stage 2s. Not sure, we produce our plants here. I'm not sure what's happened this year, whether the mother plants just got with 2 wet feet or... So anyway, you'll see some gaps, but all of our stage 3 pluses are all looking pretty good, so that's good. So this is what you'll see out in the field. To give you an explanation, so these are called radar charts, where the lowest value is in the middle of the spider web and the highest value is on the outside. So usually our program is the bigger the number, the better. So an external and internal colour, the further out, the darker it is. And you can see the red is the accession that you're looking at. The solid line is Red Rhapsody, the dotted line is Stella. So you can see the comparison with, Red Rhapsody that you're already growing and Stella, which is our newer variety. This is actually 2023 111, which is out in the field, which is a very new variety. I'm quietly excited by it. So you can go check that out, see if you like it. And this is an example of what our stage 1 seedling trials look like. So we don't have any information, but this is where every plant is different. And so instead of collecting data on these, because we've got thousands of them, what we do instead is we go through every 3 or so weeks and put a different coloured flag against the plants that are looking good for the most heritable traits at that time. And so you'll see the field around the clonal block will have some flags in it. Blue is the early producing, so that's no quality, it's just they produce flowers early. And then we've got some green and yellows out so far this season. They're the ones that performed well in May and in June last month. At the end of the season, ones like this that have a whole bunch of flags are the ones that get selected to go into stage 2. So that's how we do it. So you're welcome to have a look at those there, but every plant is different, but they're planted in family blocks, so you'll be able to see the lines. Those plants all share the same parents. Excellent. So just a very quick variety update because I just wanted to give some background information on Stella because I know a bunch of you have trialled it for the first time this year and it hasn't, on a lot of farms, it hasn't been doing as well as it should. This is the data. This is from multiple years of data, what it should be performing like compared to Red Rhapsody. I think the climate this year has just diminished it. In our trials, our fruit hasn't tasted good until the last couple of weeks across the board. So I think the weather's just not been good for flavour. I don't know why, I don't know about in your plots, but for us, it's only been the last few weeks that I've actually wanted to eat any of our fruit. But yes, Stella should taste very nice, much better than Red Rhapsody. It should have good high yield, good large average fruit size. It's a little bit lighter internal and externally than Red Rhapsody, and it's just a little bit softer. Red Rhapsody is an outlier when it comes to firmness. It should be a little bit softer, but it shouldn't be a lot softer, which again I've been hearing this year. I don't know if that's environmental or if we need sort of nutrient tweaking, but that's what you should expect from Stella. We'll have a panel discussion later and we can sort of talk about, you know, what people are doing and what they're seeing. And one of the main selling points for Stella, it is totally resistant to red leaf disorder. I don't think that's actually Stella there, but that's what you will see in our field. You will see plants, a variety that is very susceptible, and Stella will be next to it, and there'll be absolutely no red leaf whatsoever. So if you are having trouble with red leaf disorder in your field, particularly in your Red Rhapsodies, Susie and Stella are both, you know, you will never see it. It takes away that gamble for you. And very lastly, we have our specialty pink and white varieties, SW2317 and SB17230, coming out next year, commercially hopefully available from a couple of propagators. We're getting fantastic feedback from these. They really have outstanding flavour. There should be, you know, I think APG will be doing some marketing. Yes. But we see this as a fantastic opportunity to get a product that is a higher value product that consumers will pay for. I know people here who will only take home the white ones because they taste better than the red. And so we're seeing that as a big opportunity for growers. You will also see today, these are the first generation. We also have our next generation of our white ones here, which is 2021-232. That's been out on farms this year. We've been getting fantastic feedback. We have growers who are saying like, can I have 50,000 plants next year, please? So have a look out in the field. Taste and See have also very generously brought a bunch of our advanced trial material, including the 232 that is out there. Go have a look, have a taste. It is just gorgeous and very firm and lovely. So that's it from me. This is our ASBP team. Let's go out into the field. We've just got some foot baths and scrapers out there if you wouldn't mind walking through those. We will have the red pin tags. Feel free to take a handful, take them out with you when you're having a look. And then we've also got some clipboards and data sheets and pens if you would like to actually make comments. Those are really valuable for us. Quite often if we have growers say, we like this, we will make sure we trial it the next year. And one of our accessions, which is 2023-111, which was the data you saw before, that was actually picked out by a grower last year. We accelerated that out into on-farm trials. It is performing really well, along with a couple of others of that same generation, and we're accelerating that for potential commercial release. So that's the difference that you guys and your feedback can give to getting better varieties out there quicker. So Susie is... It seems to be very environmentally sensitive, so some growers will not have a great experience with it. Other growers absolutely love it. It will perform really well some years, other years it won't. In some farms, other farms it won't. You know, it's a lovely open plant, nice sort of solid, you know, trusses. It's quite a nice one, but you know, I think Stella is more well-rounded. It will perform better on more environments.
Better all-rounder.
Yeah, here is our white one actually. Our next generation white one. Have a smell of that.
Yeah, right. Smells like strawberry and cream.
Yep.
Smells like a bag of lollies.
So what have we got there, Jodie?
So here we have 2021-232. Which is our next generation white variety. So we have our white and our pink ones that are being released next year. This is the next one. And we are accelerating this for commercial release because we're getting really fantastic feedback from our growers who are trialling it this year. It's for some growers are saying, you know, it is consistently the best tasting strawberry that they're growing, which doesn't surprise me because these white ones, they're only a few generations removed from the wild, so they've got all that beautiful natural flavour growing in it. So, yeah, so this is pretty much as white as we've got at the moment. We do have whiter ones, but they tend to mark too much, so they're just not commercially viable yet. But
They taste alright.
oh, they taste.
For me, I don't care. 'Cause I grew up in the land, so you can't expect perfect fruit.
Yep,
So
yep.
that's it,
But then in here we do have, I think closer to that side, we've got our SW and SB, so the ones that will be commercially available next year. This one here is the one that I'm keeping an eye on. This is the 2023-111. The fruit are beautiful. Great flavour, good size. The plants look really nice. So this is only the second year we've actually had it in our trials. We've collected data, but it's performing really well. If you have a look at the radar plots, its yield and average fruit size are probably one of the best things we have in here. So we're quietly positive about its prospects. It's one that growers themselves actually picked out and said, what is this? I want to trial it.
The fruit presents nice, it's got a good gloss.
Yep.
It's showing a little bit of bruising.
They all, because they've been for a week.
Yeah.
So, yep.
They're firm. That's firm. Look, that's pretty firm.
Yep.
So you've got single stem and then coming out?
Yep, predominantly.
Taste is good.
And, you know, the early yield, May yield, is just really good. We always compare to Red Rhapsody because it's the industry standard for subtropical. So the growers know how Red Rhapsody performs on their farms, and so this is saying, okay, well, compared to Red Rhapsody, its yield should be higher or lower or the same. Yeah, it's just a benchmark.
Do we ever have tasting panels?
We do. Last year and the year before, we had proper designed consumer preference panels and trained sensory panels.
Okay.
So we had trained people who know how to detect flavours, taste it and go, I can taste, you know, it's grassy and tastes of, you know, of exactly. And so they identified the flavours, and then those same fruit we gave to consumers, and they told us how much they liked the flavour, the appearance, the aroma. And so then we're able to go through and go, okay, the consumers are liking the ones that taste like green fruit or whatever. Weirdly enough, they liked the grassy ones. But yeah, so.
Traits. Does any consideration go in with strawberry breeding to disease resistance?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have a pathologist on our team, and basically what they do is they grow up the different diseases in the lab, and we infect the plants and see how long it takes them to die in glass houses. And so
So that's done in a separate environment to this?
yes, yeah, we don't do it in the ground, but we test for resistance to charcoal rot, to Colototricum, so anthracnose, and fusarium wilt, and then also powdery mildew and red leaf disorder. And so we've got a special powdery mildew area set up where it's in a hothouse environment. We let it run rife, and we've got genetics that, despite being surrounded by powdery, those plants never show any symptoms whatsoever. So we're crossing those into material that's more commercially viable, because originally they were quite soft, and we're getting close now.
I mean, when you have all these varieties, you obviously have a standard fertiliser program. And which farmers do things quite differently, of course, and that in turn can affect the outcome. What sort of bearing does all that have on the selection process?
Awesome question. So here we have to be generalist with our fertiliser regime and everything like that. We have to kind of go with the majority rules, make sure most of the plants are healthy and happy. But once they hit stage 4, we will put plants of them out on different farms, and they will trial it in their environment using whatever they're currently fertilising the rest of that block with, which isn't ideal either. But each year we give them more plants, so that they can sort of get a better idea in their environment what's working and what's not. And so we get to see, okay, this one is performing well across the board, or, you know, so growers give us feedback, we collect data, you know, they collect data for us.
And you obviously do it with a range of growers to cater for their variety of growing conditions.
Exactly.
Microclimatic variation, etc.
Yep. Ideally, where we'd like to end up is being able to do, like, you know, whole row trials with some of these growers, but propagation of that many plants is not something we can do in-house. We have worked with various propagators in the past to help us multiply up numbers, but it is a big impost on them. So we're still looking for ideal solutions, but in the meantime we're producing as much as we can ourselves and giving growers as many plants as we can. Once they've kind of gone through a few years of on-farm trialling, if it's still looking good, then they're getting to have a look at bigger numbers. This is something that we trialled for the first time last year, so it's a laser bird scarer, and it emits a green laser beam and moves in pre-programmed patterns over the field. And basically, apparently how it works is, as it's moving overhead, birds think it's another bird predator moving overhead, and so it doesn't harm them, it just scares them away. And this is the second year we've had it going. It works so far really, really well, to the point where I think the birds have actually learnt the sound of it as it's moving, and as soon as we turn it off to work in the field, they come crawling out of the woodwork, and even if the hood's down, so there's no laser but it's moving, they will actually stay out, which is quite remarkable. And because for us, you know, this is a field trial where we're collecting data, every fruit matters. So it's something that has made a really big difference for us. There's a number of different products out there that do it, but the main thing is that being a laser beam, you can't be working in the field while it's active because it can damage your eyesight if it shines straight in your eyes. But when you're not out there, it's been really fantastic for us.
Hi, I'm Armin from Stoddart Family Farms. I'm the irrigation guy. I grow the plants and hopefully make some delicious berries. That's me. So everyone's here today to look at the different strawberries. I think looking at all the varieties, everyone's sort of excited about the white fruit because of the new niche market they're looking into, but 2023 triple ones, I think everyone's really been loving this new plant. We've been trying it as well. It's a fantastic looking berry. It's just a really great plant to grow. Not too big, not too small, really good disease resistant we found so far. But the fruit shape and colour in general has been outstanding. Like, there's not been much variability between like sort of the first and the last plant we have planted, which is what I really sort of like about it. Like, we got it onboarded early for us. Like, normally we would have to wait another 2 years to get it, but we sort of put the request in last year to trial it. We only got 10 or 12 plants, and it's actually looking really fantastic from the data we have collected. So I think that's going to be one of the big ones we're going to have to look in the next couple of years. We do have some of the bigger varieties that's been showing some real promises with the 2019 077s and the 2021 090s, which are throughout here, and they've been really doing quite well despite the cold weather. So even though you might see production down across the board everywhere, they're sort of been standing out really well. Great for early fruit as well, we found. So they haven't been too slow, which is probably one thing that every farmer really wants. I did see there was 2022 030s back there. Actually, plant structure looked really nice, I found. Not too dense, not too sort of small. Actually had a really good trial of these this year. So 2021 232s. This is sort of the second generation of blush they're looking at. They released a couple last year. They've got this one here in trial, which I've never had such great feedback for a strawberry in my life. If you think of a strawberry taste, and you got that idea in your head of what it might taste like, and you ask for what a strawberry should smell like, is exactly what it is. There's no different variety. It smells exactly what a strawberry should smell like and what it should taste like. We did a blind taste test. They said it's a strawberry. It tastes like a strawberry. It smells like a strawberry. When they opened their eyes, it was just white. They were actually like completely mind blown. They wouldn't expect it. They were thinking it's like an underripe strawberry, but no, it was fantastic. We had another lady, Eastern European country where she grew up in. I gave her a bite, or tried to try one, and she said it was like she was 4 years old back at home picking a wild strawberry out of the garden. She said she's never tasted anything like that since she left that, her home country. And that'd probably be about 50, 55 years ago. So they're looking fantastic. There's a few little things like yield-wise, size-wise. I think we're all accustomed to like nice big strawberries now. They don't get very big. I think, maybe not this generation, maybe the next generation, generation after is going to be a very big market in Australia for them. I think we can probably really get a lot of consumers on board. Whether it'd be a niche market or they're going to be another completely separate category as well in the shops is going to be fantastic. Looking at that, like it's a nice looking strawberry. Only problem I have is it takes me like 3 times as long to pick it because I don't even know if it's ripe or not.